Hello, folks. I need to do this live. All on tariffs. Those who think they're going to get Alberta or Quebec independence in the Canadian system, in the Canadian model. It's not going to happen. Those who think magically Donald Trump's going to come to save Alberta or Quebec, you just haven't been paying attention. It is not in USA's best interests to see Alberta independence or Quebec independence from the country of Canada. Not under President Trump, not under his massive tariffs. If you haven't been paying attention, our majorest trading partners, EU, Trans-Pacific Partnership countries, have capitulated to Donald J. Trump. More than capitulation. They have agreed that all of their foreign investment over the next 3 years is entirely going into the United States of America, not Canada. That's gone for at least the next 3 years. Signed, sealed, certified. You were misled. You were bamboozled. You, the Canadian taxpayers, paid monumental for the G7. Now, I knew at the B7 it was over. In fact, we had 3 Canada policing organizations completely outlaw us from getting anywhere near the United States ambassador. Have I ever experienced anything like that in the United States? No. In fact, I went to the NATO conference in Washington, D.C. Went in there, have all the pictures to prove it. You can look at all of those military leaders of all of the NATO countries and allies. They're there. More than that, I went into other meetings in academia. Not possible in Canada. And I proved that. I got to see my government and their reaction to me and a group in business suits. No threat to anyone. No reason to be outlawed there. When we had a presentation of our own. The problem was the presentation we had was all what the United States wanted, and what Carney had was nothing. Nothing. He wasn't there. Trudeau wasn't there. In fact, there were all kinds of Canadian politicians there, stuffing their face, getting a free meal, nodding their head, supplying nothing that would lead us to believe we were going anywhere. And folks, there were no other real delegations there. There was Japan. And they didn't present anything for Canada. Nothing. Canada was empty-handed. Lots of money wasted. Then, of course, from the B7 that creates the G7, where now everyone was kicked out, the Canadian military made a massive isolation zone all around Kananaskis, in massive kilometers around, where no real Canadians could even enter. And we will never, ever be allowed anywhere near anything like that ever again. This is dictatorship land. This is right in Alberta, Kananaskis. Anyone who's been following me, independent media who tried, found out the hard way, you will be outside that massive military fenced system many miles. You won't even be able to see Kananaskis. You won't even be able to see it from the perimeter. You are a speck that far out. No one will see you. And that's the way they wanted it. People got passes to go there. Fake Canadians loyal to the regime. Liberal, conservative, didn't matter. Crown regimes. They all got special passes to go. And Donald Trump knew it. And Donald Trump left within just an hour. Came, got his meal, and said, well, I'm out of here. This is useless. Now that I see all these others in the community, I'm going to go make deals with them. I don't like their elbows up with Canada. And it's gone. To understand, Alberta right now, the energy, you can go all look this up. 10% tariffs, we've lost 10% of our energy trade to the United States of America. These are real numbers published by the United States of America and all Canadian sources. Canada's energy to the United States has gone down 10%. Today we transition to 35%. What do you suppose is going to be the number of reductions to the USA? I would say another 25% on top of the already lost 10%. And how is Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan? And when I say Alberta, they're in the 90 percentile of this. What is their replacement going to be? Well, that's China, folks. Everybody. Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan in energy and exports have replaced those losses with the United States with China. We're shipping Aframax across the ocean on the Pacific coast to China and China allied Asian countries because China runs all the ports. We're not even supposed to be shipping Aframax across the ocean, but China is a UNSC partner. Canada says it's okay. Who cares about pollution, environmental standards, and international law that USA follows, Russia follows, everybody follows, but not Canada in relation to China, because China has a UNSC veto, and they want that energy, they get it. And Canada gets to break international agreements under the banner of China. That's where you are, Alberta. And that 10% that you replaced with China, which happened, record amounts of oil to China, never seen in Canadian history, comes at a $5 over and above the discounted price to the United States. So here's Donald J. Trump looking at this going, okay, so you gave China another $5 on top of our discount so that you could make sure to sell to them. Okay, Canada, we know where we're at with you. If you look on the news today, August 1st, publications, you have former Justin Trudeau, Foreign Affairs representative, on the USMCA negotiation. He says, yep, elbows up, oh, it's all good, we must fight with strength, but, we lost all of our allies. They've all, with weight with Canada and with weight against the United States, capitulated. Only us and China remain. But don't worry, Canadians, everything is going to be okay, right? Because China's not going to capitulate, right? You're going to be elbows up with Laos, Myanmar, Switzerland, who doesn't need it. They're financially independent. All of their offshore is the reason why they're never going to capitulate with the United States. They also have a We the People constitution, but their financial system, and for multinationals, even American ones, who leave USA, all their money goes into their financial establishments. So Switzerland could care less. They've got a ton of influx. There's not going to be a whole lot that USA can do to Switzerland. They're not major trading partners. Canada certainly is. And folks, all of our major trading partners have capitulated to the United States, have gotten deals with the United States, and agreed to put all of their foreign investment that they used to have a ratio that lots went into Canada. No more as of today. As of today, for the next 3 years, none of those partners will be investing in Canada. Contrary to everything the Alberta government ministries has told you, all of those countries supposedly buying Canada's LNG out of BC, Alberta's natural gas getting compressed in BC, pennies on the dollar anyway. Really, none of that's going to be purchased for the next 3 years. For all of those partners that your politicians in Alberta bragged they would get, they're not going to get. Other non-compliant things in USMCA, lumber over and above, pharma over and above. Quebec's in a lot of trouble too. Folks, Donald J. Trump doesn't care about Alberta or Quebec when there's a much larger prize called Canada, and there's a much larger amount of money to make from Canada in this trade deficit that he's neutralizing. There's a lot more money to be made by just getting everybody not to buy your goods. And Canada stuck with USA with nowhere to go. You will have to capitulate. You'll have to take it. And it's a tremendous cost against all Canadians, from every province, every territory, to the likes of which you can't imagine. The job losses in small and medium business, that's 60% of all employment in Canada. And Carney tells you, don't worry, like a true communist, because communism is all massive big business, which is either government or government-fused multinationals. You'll see a lot of military dictatorships. We're in the highest tariff regimes out of 8 countries in the world. Brazil, BRICS Brazil, Laos, Myanmar, Iraq, we're in the same line as Iraq. We're in the same line as Syria. That's where we measure today. If these aren't going bing, 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 bing alarm bells, you know, this is really daft, childish, institutionalized Canadians. Are you really this moronic? Because nobody else is in the realm of your tariffs. And again, who is USMCA compliant? Mostly all big multinational businesses, not you, the little Joe Jane, small business Canadian companies. And you had no choice. We know how it works. Your supply and value chains, China's largely led that. The products you do produce at the small level are so fused with all these other countries that you're hit with tariffs, which means your employment and ability to employ is going to go down. Your ability to sell your goods in that large market USA is gone, because in America, your customers are going to be like, I'm sorry, but what was $10 is now $13.50. I can buy those American products right here. And if I can't buy them here in the next 6 months, other new American business startups with the massive foreign investment from all of our trading partners are going to balloon that. And they will be doing it in America with American labor, and you will be the most costly item, and you will lose your market share there until it's gone. In 3 years, you will see massive change in employment in Canada, especially as all small and medium businesses who sell primarily in the United States market lose it all. No, they're not going to lose it tomorrow. They may not even lose it in the next 6 months. But mark my words, in the long run, after 3 years, all of those style businesses, which is about 35% of what is 60% of the employment in Canada. Think about these numbers. They're in the millions. It's going to be gone. Give it 3 years. You will see that eventuality. And only an idiot would say you won't. Only an idiot named Mark Carney, who only cares about the crown, the multinational businesses, the crown corporations, and will sacrifice all of the third, second class. Remember, Canada is the Titanic. There is first class, second, third, and then there's the Boilermakers down at the bottom, stoking the boiler with coal, keeping the lines from breaching. And when the ship hits the iceberg, the 35% tariffs, the first thing they do is they lock down all those third-class employed Canadians, like the Boilermakers. They go first. You're gone. You're not even going to live, because they have to close you off. You are dying. You're gone. There was no question about that. And then they assess, as the water's filling, Oh, we need much more time for the first class. Lock all the second down. So they got the third class locking down the Boilermakers, while the second class is already locking down the third class. They're gone. That's your small, medium business people up to second class, because only half of them are going to make it. So that first class had all the time in the world these next 3 years, as they're getting tariff money in reciprocity. They're filling up coffers, paying out all of themselves, situating them and their families in places like the United States, United Kingdom, out throughout the European Union. You name it, they're all safely there if they're not already. But they need all that extra time because they're locking you down below the ship. That's how Canada works. That's how Canada is codified on this day, World Constitution Day. That has always been and will always be your highest laws of the land. That is Canada. And along with that idea of those Boilermakers, that's the First Peoples. They already know this to be true. In their heart of hearts, they know it to be true. If you watch the video, you've heard from a number of them across Canada. I could have probably ran more and more if I really put the time and energy, but I was only given a small video time. Big congratulations, tagging this to Ian Bachman. If you go on worldconstitutionday.org, you get to see all the countries who submitted, all these high-end leaders or high-end academics, people who are credited in their countries, easily published. And guess who's got World Constitution Day song? Guess who's right there? Ian Bachman. Now, the video I presented, that's going to be there probably before the end of the day. And that's going to be on that website forevermore. That goes throughout all of the United States and so many republics of the world. So many. And there are all these countries are going to see that and be able to look and watch and see that video for a long time coming. You're going to have American academics analyzing that. Everything we do matters. As Jim Scherer said to me, everything we do matters. I present that 51st state. I see that reality that Canadians still don't see in massive numbers. I know none of the separatists want to believe it. They believe an in-Canada solution is going to work. They're being fleeced by crown-fused civil societies, non-profits, owned entirely by the governmental crown, friends of the crown, appointed by the crown, who are getting rich at the expense of all of you. Already Alberta's separation question is in court. First stage didn't even make it out of the chief electoral officer. As I told everybody, I know Benjamin Ebley knows. I should have talked to Ben. We went through the entirety of that legislation, which was a big joke, a way to steal more money, give the Titanic crown, Daniel Smith, and all of her loyalist of friends time to get situated and clean out Albertans as much as they can, as they're leaving Albertans holding a major dirty bomb bag of shit that's literally going to blow up in their face as America's going to smash us so very, very hard. Already publications on the Canadian dollar that it's all stopped. The Canadian dollar is going to start reversing now. We're going to start being devalued. Remember, way lower interest rates than the United States, meaning there's no wiggle room now to stop that. And can you imagine when the United States starts dropping their interest rates? Look out, Spiral Canada. But the best of the best, I present those publications just before this post. It's there for all of you to see. You see Mark Carney's letter that we're going to do it all in Canada and we're going to diversify out into the world. But the best we have for negotiators who did USMCA on the Canada side said we've lost all of our allies. European Union, our master and Lord King Charles III, head of state. We lost the UK first. That should have been everything to tell all of you we were sold out, sacrificed, screwed. And for Mark Carney to continue on while Keir Starmer signs a trade deal with USA, a capitulation, stealing away Canada's market share while sitting in as head of our state. What does that tell you? How foolish and dumb of a people do you have to be? How dumb do you have to be when you have a highest law of the land telling you you give that authority, that sovereignty to that individual who care two shits less about your economic, financial welfare, your status as human beings, your ability to self-govern, to prosper, your health as a society? He could care two shits less. There's nothing in the UK in any laws that say they have to care for Canada and put Canada first. No. You're a nothing burger. You exist to serve them. You willingly do it. You're willing slaves. And you've got a crown government in the name of that, using all of that divine power from a world that's not supposed to exist anymore post-World War II. But yet we do it. And we do it willingly. While everyone else is moving on, we're not. Again, who has United States of America grouped us with? Look. Brazil, Syria, Iraq. That's where we are in tariffs, which are sanctions. And effectually now, with all the trade deals signed against us with our allies, those are called trade embargoes. I went through this all the way back December 2nd. I told you the stages. I told you the months, the season. I said by the summer, we will transition into trade embargoes. That's what it is when our allies, our signed on trading partners, agree with the United States to invest all of their foreign investments into the United States. All of it, meaning there's nothing for Canada anymore for the next 3 years. That's called a trade embargo. Do you get it? Tariffs, 35%, is a nasty, huge sanction. Our critical industries, steel, aluminum, copper, refined, 50% tariffs. Our lumber, our pharmaceuticals, and many others over and above CUSMA, meaning there's a line in the sand from America. You will not go over it. And any American who thinks you're going to try and purchase over that line, Donald J. Trump's drawn in the sand, they have to pay another 35%. They'll go somewhere else. They'll find somebody else. Canada is in big, big trouble. The idea of independence, the idea of fixing Canada, or the idea that Canada's going to grow all these new trade partners, is Iraq, is Syria, is Laos, is Brazil. Are they going to replace the United States? Are those the trading partners we're going to be grouped with? Oh, and of course China. If China doesn't make a deal, and just remember, China's got 5% less tariffs than we do. Who do you think will break first, China or Canada? And when China does make a deal with USA, what will Canada have left? What will Alberta do in the face of the United States? And they're like, yeah, we switched out all our trade together with BC and Saskatchewan, but it's mostly Alberta products, raw products, that we've replaced you with China. And then China makes a deal, and then China says, sorry, Alberta, we can't do it anymore. What is going to be the decision that's going to have to be made then? Oh, USA, we'll give you half price in all our raw resources. We'll break even. Is that what the Crown's going to do? That's my video. Credible, real, absolutely verifiable, undeniable. Only fools, liars, cheats, thieves, and Crown will tell you otherwise, because they're filling their pockets. They're on their lifeboats. You're locked down in the bottom of the Titanic. You're going to be drowning. You're going to be drowning. The next 3 years, you're going to be drowned. Left holding the bag. But I thought I thought we were doing this. I thought. No, these are politicians telling you what you want to hear while they fill their pockets, man their lifeboats, and they secure themselves to freedom and beyond. And they go, sorry, suckers. That's my video. Share. Get it out there today of all days. This is day one of serious pain, of a serious eventual end of Canada. The kind of end in the next 3 years that I don't want to imagine or live in. I really don't. And I do feel that pain, that why should any of us who see all this coming, see the writing on the wall, do the work, trying to wake up Canadians, why is it us and our families who have to suffer? Suffer because people want to believe. It's going to be tremendous pain to likes which Canadians have never lived through before, and anyone who's alive today. I think this will far outpace the Great Depression, mark my words, in 3 years' time. And you'll watch that. And then there'll be panic. You'll see Pierre Poilievre come in, oh, we're going to be saved. And it's just going to be, and they're all just, again, filling their pockets and going, oh. There's no way to satisfy the demands of Trump. Not with the Canadian model, not with how much we trade with the United States. That's my video. Get it out there. Do right by your fellow Canadian. Try. Get it out there. Bye now.